Hello, my name is Kayla Malmgren, and this is my Standard 3G research project for Education 230. And for this project, I chose to explore the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux American Indian tribe, which is based in Shakopee, Minnesota. I chose this tribe for two reasons in particular. The first is that it is relatively close to where I live. I am from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and Shakopee is not too far from my hometown. And I have been in Shakopee. I have visited the reservation actually, and so I have a kind of connection to the tribe in that way. And the second reason is because I remember being in school and learning about the Dakota War of 1862. And the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux tribe is one of four Dakota communities that are based in Minnesota. And I just remember learning about the Dakota War in 1862 and feeling this deep sense of sorrow for what happened and about the war and the Native American experience when settlers came to the United States, what is now called the United States. And I just want to revisit that feeling. And I believe the best way to make the world a better place is through education and through educating oneself, especially. And I wanted to do my part in learning more about uh, this American Indian tribe in that way. So, as I said, the Mdewakanton Sioux is one of four communities in Minnesota that is a part of the Dakota people. And the Dakota people have been living in Minnesota and northern, up more north in Canada and more south as well for centuries. And primary way that they would live is based on the seasons, and their way of life would change based on what season it was. And if it were spring, they would do more harvesting and collect crops. But if it were summer or even winter, they would do more hunting and fishing and gathering. And it the way of life, and they moved down the river according to what year or what part of the year it was. And that was a big part of their culture and just moving around. And another value that the Dakota people have is the value of kinship and treating people like relatives and with respect. And that is something that European and European American fur traders really took advantage of when they first came in 1640s, I believe, was the first contact between the settlers and the American Indian people. And that the way that they took advantage of them was by mishonoring treaties and not allowing for American Indians to receive their end of the bargain. And the mistreatment of Native American people led to the Dakota War of 1862, which led in many Native American deaths and also resulted in the concentration camps, and one primarily based in Fort Snelling, Minnesota, which was a base in Minnesota, and it was very close cornered and the conditions were very poor, and the many Native Americans died in these concentration camps, and through the years many more died. And so I wanted to take a closer look at the Mdewakanton Sioux community, which was developed as a sovereign tribe in the year 1969, and it was recognized by the US government to be an independent nation. And one of the things that the Mdewakanton Sioux community brought in order to continue this value of kinship and community that they have is through gaming. And in 1982, Little Six Bingo opened, and that was a way of connecting with the community and being able to have this way of living that connected with each other as well as with the community. And then later in the year 2000, Mystic Lake Casino opened, which is still open and running today. The government is based on two parts. There's the Business Council as well as there's a General Council and the Business Council. And you can see some of the current councilmen and government in the photo pictured below. And they're still making the way of life easier for American Indians and putting resources in education as well as programs to help sewage and roads and infrastructure. One value that the Dakota people and especially the Mdewakanton Sioux community and tribe, which they have embraced, is the value of giving. And throughout the past couple of years, the tribe has donated over $350 million to places like the U of M, the University of Minnesota, or different schools nearby who are looking for a new ice rink, for example, or even just helping get bottled water as a readily available resource. And that is something that they take very seriously, this value of giving and giving back to the community that is around them, and not just being an island on their own, but to really be involved in the world around them. And they also have education programs that are available for especially American Indian students who may be struggling or with homework or need help with ACT. They have an ACT studying resource available for students, and they have mentoring and after school activities. And many of them speak the Dakota language and teach that in different ways through the program and on the reservation. And then one other thing that I learned was in St. Paul, Minnesota, there is actually an American Indian school that students can attend, and that offers resources to Ojibwe and Dakota people alike. So having learned about the education and the past and present issues that American Indians are facing through education, whether it be earlier in the 20th century with boarding schools and the Kill the Indian, Save the Man initiative, as well as even students today who feel misrepresented as an American Indian and who feel their culture is misrepresented, or many of them feel as if they have to speak on behalf of all American Indian people and Native American people, and they feel invisible in the classroom because they don't feel as connected with peers, or they don't feel as if they can relate to texts that they're reading in schools. And that brings me to reflect on my own classroom that I want to have someday. And as a future English teacher, I want to really implement the different texts and even just articles and other resources that come from a diverse background of authors, including American Indian authors, and to be able to have open class discussion, which kind of gives students a chance to explore American Indian tribes, and for American Indian students who I might end up having in my classroom to be able to feel represented in the literary media that we are reading and grappling with. And I also want to reach out to mentors for myself who might be American Indian and who can maybe talk about their experience in education program and see if maybe they would be willing to come speak as a guest speaker in my classroom, or even just have a conversation or go out for a coffee, because what a cool opportunity to have to be able to connect and to be able to share their perspective with the classroom that is not my own or isn't even just knowledge that I might have, but are real stories of real people who are alive today and who are a part of the community that we are a part of. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you for taking the time to watch it.